You walk in for a familiar meal. You might walk out in an ambulance. We trust that these billion-dollar restaurant chains wash their hands properly and keep food properly refrigerated. But behind the neon glow, a 2025 HHS report exposes a systemic rot. The FDA is drowning. Since 2018, they've missed every inspection target, leaving thousands of kitchens unchecked. When they do show up, they find dangerous violations in up to 2% of facilities, then fail to verify if they're ever fixed. This isn't rumor. It's a high-stakes roulette backed by DOJ criminal prosecutions and millions in fines. Today, we're exposing 7 chains where all you can eat includes documented pathogens and systemic neglect. If you've eaten here recently, you aren't just a customer, you're a target. Stop watching, and you're walking into your next meal blind. Before we unmask the first kitchen on our list, drop a comment below which restaurant chain used to be your favorite. And have you ever had a meal there that left you with more than just a stomachache? Let's look at Name 7. Our investigation begins with a name synonymous with American abundance sitting at the 7th spot on our list, Golden Corral. The buffet format is a logistical nightmare for food safety. Imagine dozens of strangers sharing the same serving spoons and food sitting in lukewarm trays for hours. In Largo, Florida, inspectors didn't just find a few crumbs. They discovered rodent droppings, too many to count, directly under the salad bar and inside the kitchen. They even found a dead rodent rotting on the premises. This wasn't a one-time slip-up. 2 months earlier, they were warned about 30 droppings in the same spot, yet nothing changed. Think about the texture of deviled eggs or cubed ham. Now, imagine them sitting at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, nearly 30 degrees above the safety limit. That is exactly what inspectors found in 2017. In Indiana, a customer watched a cockroach crawl out of her salad and onto her plate. When was the last time you looked inside the ice machine at a buffet? At too many Golden Corral locations, inspectors found layers of black and green mold lining the bins where your ice is scooped. One Florida location racked up a staggering 185 violations in a single year. Next time you're at a buffet, touch the bottom of your plate. If the plate is cold but the food is lukewarm, you are eating from a petri dish. If you see condensation inside a hot display case, put your tray down and walk out. Does the thought of limitless food still feel like a bargain? Sliding into the 6th position is Applebee's The Friendly Neighborhood Grill. The marketing makes it feel like home, but the 2019 inspection records from Pinellas Park, Florida, tell a story of pure horror. Inspectors found live roaches crawling across packaged croutons meant for your salad. They weren't just in the storeroom, they were on the walls in the dishwashing area and near the freezers. When local news cameras showed up to investigate, the staff blocked the doors. It's not just about the filth, it's about the pathogens. Applebee's has been linked to an E. coli outbreak in Minnesota that sickened 15 people through their Oriental chicken salad. In 2020, an Illinois location exposed everyone who walked in over a 10-day window to hepatitis A because an infected employee was working while contagious. Imagine the smell of a grill mixed with the sight of roaches living in an unused ice cream bin. A violation they were cited for twice in 2 months. These aren't just accidents, they are patterns of negligence. Check the vents above the grill from your booth. If they are caked in thick black grease, the kitchen isn't being cleaned. Have you ever complained about a hygiene issue only to be ignored by management? I'd love to hear your experience in the comments. As we move to the 5th name on our list, we find Waffle House. This 24-hour icon is so reliable that FEMA uses it to measure disaster severity, but that always open policy means the deep cleaning often never happens. In South Florida, inspectors found live roaches scuttling next to the prep sinks and flying insects landing on the knives used to slice your food. The license was expired and the hand-washing sink didn't even have soap. The most disturbing detail, inspectors have documented cutting boards with grooves so deep they physically cannot be sanitized, holding onto bacteria for days or weeks. In North Carolina, an employee was caught picking up a utensil from the floor and going right back to work without washing their hands. When you see dirty water leaking onto raw pork chops, you realize the Waffle House Index might be measuring more than just storms. It's measuring a collapse of basic sanitation. Listen for the dishwasher. If you don't hear the roar of high-temperature steam, and smell the faint sting of sanitizer, your clean fork is a hazard. If the bathroom is out of soap, assume the kitchen is too. The party atmosphere of our fourth entry Buffalo Wild Wings hides a very different kind of contagion. In 2016, a Kansas location became the epicenter of a norovirus outbreak that sickened a high school swim team. The cause. An employee was caught wiping his nose with the back of his gloved hand and then continuing to handle food. This chain has a recurring nightmare with hepatitis A. From Michigan in 2018 to California in late 2024, infected employees have repeatedly exposed thousands of customers. Hepatitis A is a liver-destroying infection that can keep you bedridden for 50 days with jaundice and stomach pain. By the time the health department issues a press release, the window to get a life-saving vaccine is usually closed. In the 2024 Monterey Park incident, the infected employee worked for 9 days straight while contagious. Watch the servers at the wing station. If they touch their face or a cleaning rag and then touch your food basket without a glove change, cancel the order. Does a sports bar vibe make you lower your guard? It shouldn't. We now enter the top 3, starting with the third spot. Chipotle Mexican Grill. They built a billion-dollar empire on the word integrity. They told you their food was better, fresher, and worth the premium price. But between 2015 and 2018, that integrity shattered. More than 1,100 people were sickened across 5 different states. This wasn't just a mistake. It was a federal crime. The Department of Justice charged Chipotle with adulterating food. In Boston, an apprentice manager was ordered to keep working after vomiting in the restaurant. That manager then packaged the food that poisoned a college basketball team. In Ohio, 647 people were sickened because beans and lettuce were left at temperatures that allowed Clostridium perfringens to explode. Chipotle eventually paid a $25 million fine, the largest in U.S. history for a food safety case. They were forced into a 3-year federal compliance program because their internal systems failed so completely. Would you still pay extra for organic lettuce if you knew the person serving it was forced to work while sick? Tell us if you've seen the quality at your local Chipotle dipping lately. Here is the truth the industry tries to hide. This isn't just about 7 dirty kitchens. This is a failure of the franchise profit model. These massive corporations sell their logos to local owners, then squeeze them for royalties. To survive, owners cut corners. They don't replace the moldy ice machines. They don't hire enough staff. They pressure sick employees to work because a closed kitchen means zero profit. You aren't a guest, you are a margin. The system is designed to protect the brand, not the body of the person eating the food. This systemic failure reached its peak with the second name on our list, McDonald's. When you serve 69 million people a day, a single mistake becomes a national tragedy. In late 2024, their Quarter Pounder became a carrier for E. coli across 14 states. 104 people sickened, 34 hospitalized, and 1 person dead. The cause was raw slivered onions from a supplier that McDonald's systems failed to catch. One Montana family watched their 11-month-old daughter Logan end up in a hospital bed with kidney-threatening E. coli after just a few bites of a burger. McDonald's is now spending $100 million to win back trust. But trust isn't a marketing budget. It's the safety of a child on a family road trip. This followed a 2018 incident where 500 people got intestinal parasites from their salads. When there is a national produce recall, onions, romaine, or spinach avoid all fast food for 2 weeks. Their supply chains are too massive to pivot instantly. Finally, we reach the number 1 spot, the chain with the most locations on Earth, Subway. For years, Subway has faced a question that sounds like a conspiracy theory. What is actually in the food? In 2021, a federal lawsuit alleged their tuna sandwiches contained no tuna DNA at all. The New York Times did their own lab testing and found no amplifiable tuna DNA in samples from Los Angeles. Other lab tests reported finding DNA from chickens, pigs, and cattle in samples that were sold as 100% wild-caught skipjack tuna. Subway aggressively denies this, claiming the cooking process destroys the DNA, but the controversy exposed a terrifying truth: you have no way of knowing what you are eating. When you combine this mystery meat with repeated hepatitis A exposures and the wildly inconsistent standards of 37,000 different franchisees, you get a brand that represents the ultimate gamble. Look at the texture of your tuna. It should have visible muscle fibers. If it's a perfectly smooth, salty paste, it's filler. If a laboratory can't find the fish, your stomach shouldn't have to either. We've spent this investigation pulling back the curtain on the country's most trusted names, and what we saw was unsettling. But this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. You can protect yourself in a system that is currently failing to protect you. Safe pick 1. Choose restaurants with open kitchen concepts. Businesses that take sanitation seriously don't hide their grills or prep stations. If the kitchen is behind a wall, ask yourself why. Safe pick 2. Prioritize places with short ingredient lists and local supply chains. The more hands your food passes through from onion to meat, the higher the contamination risk. Yes, a transparent local meal may cost 15% more, but that is insignificant compared to a 4-figure ER deductible. Today, we've proven one thing clearly: a billion-dollar logo is not a safety shield. We've seen that the FDA oversight most people assume exists is in reality failing. Whether it's the Golden Arches or the neighborhood grill, these are businesses first, and before trying a new restaurant, spend 30 seconds on your local health department's website. If the dining room is sticky, the bathroom smells like ammonia, or the staff looks exhausted and unwell, walk away. The truth may be hidden in the kitchen, but the warning signs are always visible in the front of the house. Which of these brands will you never step foot in again? Have you ever seen something in a fast food kitchen that instantly killed your appetite? Share your personal red flags in the comments so we can all become better investigators. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We're only beginning to expose the truth behind the products you use every day, because the truth is not always on the menu. Disclaimer: this content is for informational and journalistic purposes only. The reports and incidents mentioned are based on documented health inspections, legal filings, and government agency records available at the time of production. Individual restaurant locations may vary in their compliance with safety standards. Always consult with a medical professional if you suspect you are suffering from a foodborne illness.